Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? One of the things that was not unanimous around the draft was the feeling of the Saints and their quarterback room, and if the Saints would take a quarterback in this year's draft. You saw as many mock drafts as I did, and you all saw Malik Willis to the Saints, Kenny Pickett to the Saints in round 1, guys like Matt Corral in round 2, Carson Strong, Sam Howell. We all saw mock drafts that had the Saints taking a quarterback. And ultimately, when the 3-day, 7-round event came and went, the Saints drafted 5 players, none of them quarterbacks. And still there are analysts who are concerned or curious why the Saints didn't address quarterback. After the draft, Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen both talked about it. First, here's Mickey Loomis on the Saints not drafting a quarterback.
Well, look, we had those guys on the board in good spots. You know, there's a lot of qualities about each of them that we liked, but we didn't really have the opportunity to take them when we valued them.
When we valued them. That's the key. The Saints could have taken Kenny Pickett at 19. He went 1 pick later. When we valued them means they didn't have a quarterback with a first-round grade. If you weren't willing to take Kenny Pickett at 19, you did not have a first-round grade on a quarterback in this year's draft. Which, that is a pretty clear example of what analysts think and what executives do. Your opinion may be, I don't think Jameis Winston is an elite quarterback in the NFL. Kenny Pickett can be that. That may be your opinion. But the people making the decision might disagree, and the Saints clearly did. Dennis Allen was also asked how, and talked about how the Saints approached quarterback in this draft.
Look, it was all part of the evaluation process, and it was all part of seeing how the draft played out, and certainly didn't feel like that was a position that we had to go try to address. Feel good about where we're at the position, and so we evaluated the quarterbacks, and the way the draft played out, we felt like that wasn't something that we needed to go and do, and thought there were some players that could help us.
Not a position we needed to address. And you know what? He's right. The Saints are sitting on Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. 2 guys that have been successful starting quarterbacks in the NFL. One that's got a handful of playoff appearances, another that's got a 5,000-yard passing season, and by the way, was 5-2 at the start of this franchise a year ago before his knee injury. You mean to tell me that you'd be more bullish on rookie Kenny Pickett or rookie Malik Willis than those guys? Malik Willis is a great example. A lot of people looked at Malik Willis and say, man, what happened? Round 3. It's a perfect example. Malik Willis might have been, in the minds of some, the best quarterback in this draft. You realize last year, 4 quarterbacks went in the top 11 picks. The top 3 picks were quarterbacks, and then Justin Fields went 11 to the Bears. This year, it took you 3 rounds to get 4 quarterbacks off the board. There's no need to reach for a project and to give up that draft capital, to use a draft pick, that precious capital that you use to build your roster, when you have other needs. The combination of Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, is a better option in 2022 for the New Orleans Saints than any quarterback in this draft. I would not take any quarterback in this draft in 2022 over Jameis is my starter, Andy Dalton is my backup. I'm not guaranteeing those guys are going to win a championship. I'm not going to tell you that that Jameis is going to have a 5,000-yard season and be an all-pro and win a title. Like, I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I mean, I've been pounding that drum for 2 years, longer than anybody. Like, literally the day Tampa released Jameis, I did a video on YouTube and explained why the Saints should go sign him. So I'm a believer, okay? But I also realize it may not play out that way, but there's a lot of reasons to think it could. But if you're the Saints, you let 2022 play out with Jameis Winston. If Jameis goes and has an amazing year, and you've added Chris Olave, and you've given him a left tackle, and Michael Thomas is back healthy, and that defense you've supplemented with some really good free agents and draft picks, what if you go out this year and you win 11 games, and you are a contender? What if you go 12-5 and you win the division? I mean, a pick of a quarterback is wasted draft capital. And by the way, if Jameis goes out and has a great year, awesome. Sign him to an extension. Guy's 27 years old. He's in his physical prime. He goes, has a great year, stays healthy, sign him to a 5-year extension. Give him the big deal. Okay. If he goes out there and has an average year, okay, well, then or he flops, okay. Now, you don't have a first-round pick next year, and that's where some of you are going to say, well, then you address that next offseason. I mean, there are starting quarterbacks in the NFL that were available in free agency this year. You could have done a deal for Russell Wilson. You could have potentially done a deal for Aaron Rodgers. You could have done a deal for Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying that those are championship options, not Baker, but Jimmy Garoppolo is still out there. You could find a starting quarterback, a stopgap if you need it. Maybe there's an option for a veteran player, the same way that Stafford was available to the Rams. Maybe not, but address it next year if you feel like you need to. But if you as an organization feel good enough about Jameis Winston to go into the season as the starting quarterback, and then you've got a veteran backup who's been a playoff quarterback in his career, if something goes wrong and there's an injury and you feel like you're good, there's no reason to use that draft capital on a quarterback just because you feel like you have to take a quarterback. If it was a year where, I mean, the example I'll give you is Patrick Mahomes. If it was 2017 and you feel like he's the best quarterback in that draft class and he's sitting there at 11 and you want to take him, okay. Like, I'd have been perfectly fine with that. But look how it's worked out now with the benefit of hindsight. But to take one just because you think you need to take one, that's how you get in trouble. And that's why Malik Willis fell to round 3. That's why Matt Corral was there in round 3. Those guys come with serious questions. They may be great. They may end up being great pros. But there's way more questions around them. It's no reason to invest the draft capital the way they did. Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen both told you point blank, we didn't feel like we needed to address that. They like the guy they have. They're going to roll with him this year. And then you can make a decision next year if you need to. There was just no reason to do it this year. With the way their roster shapes up, with the guys they have available to them this year, the draft capital, the needs that they had, and they filled them. And as a result, I think you've seen the Saints do an incredible job in this offseason with this roster, both in the draft and in free agency, and they're still not done. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.